All right, this is John Hansen with johnhansenfitness.com, and I've got the winner of my Fall Fitness Classic, Nick Rizzitello here. And Nick's going to tell us a little bit about his journey to get his new physique over the 12 weeks. Nick, how you doing?
Doing great, doing great. How you doing, John?
Congratulations on your victory, winning the Fall Fitness Classic. So, Nick, tell us a little bit about your background and, like what made you decide to want to enter this contest to get in shape.
So, I've been working out since I was in seventh grade.
Okay.
My cousin Chris was he started working out. He's a few years older than me, and he was always really skinny, and he just blew up, just got, huge. And I remember going in the basement and watching him work out. I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. But yeah, I started out with a weight set in the basement and just loved it, and loved the sport. I love doing it, but
Right.
with the contest, it was right around my birthday. And I'm like, oh, I want to, do something for my birthday, put a few dollars together. And I remember emailing you, and I was going to do I think it was a Skype call or something like that. And then I saw the transformation challenge, and I saw the other winners, and I'm like, you know what? My late 30s. Last summer, I was in pretty good shape, but I'm like, I want a guy who knows what he's doing, that's hands-on, that's going to give me a diet, workout, supplementation. And when I saw the price, I remember I read it, and I even went over it with my wife, and I'm like, this can't be true. I'm like, this is all he's charging.
Right.
I'm like, I mean, the value, I'm like, this is worth thousands of dollars. I'm like, this is all he's charging for it. And then I saw you tons of times on RX Muscle, and those are my favorite shows because, like I said, I love the history of the sport.
Yeah.
I just love it. Like, anything about bodybuilding. That's all. When I do my cardio, that's all I watch. Like, if it's not work or if I'm not with my wife and kids, they're number one priority, family, friends. But besides that, I don't want to watch football. I don't want to watch baseball, basketball. Give me a podcast of some bodybuilders talking, or put an old show on. You know what I mean? But yeah, when I remember emailing you, and I was kind of like, I'm like, it just seemed too good to be true. And I'm like, I can't see, the amount of money that he's charging. And then, you got back to me, and the communication was great. And I had a really good feeling about it. And, you broke down the diet, and you gave me the cardio. And I love the fact how you asked me, what are you, especially with this challenging time with the, during the pandemic. I'm in New Jersey, and it's rough. I think when we started, I don't even know if the gyms were open. They might have been.
Right.
But I'm not sure. And while everything was shutting down, I was collecting weight equipment.
Oh, really?
I took my son and my neighbor and his son. We drove to Pennsylvania. We drove 2 hours to one Dick's Sporting Goods. We drove to another Dick's Sporting Goods to get 45-pound plates. We drove to upstate New York to get a weight bench.
Wow.
We were just going because I see, for me, with my I was a police officer for about 15 years, and I had a really bad accident while I was working, and it left me with a post-traumatic stress disorder, and it's pretty bad. It's pretty rough.
Was that a car accident, Nick?
No, I was actually I worked in a unit where we did a lot of like covert trying to see, not that it's like classified, but I'm trying to see how to explain it best without like we put it this way. I was working and doing something on a high tension pole in a bucket truck.
Okay.
I can't say what I was installing on the pole, but I was doing something on a pole, working like kind of undercover. And while I was doing it, I was working on the electric lines. And while I was up, it's hard to talk about, but I want to tell you because I want to hopefully maybe it'll help someone,
Yeah.
While I was up there, I was working on the high tension lines. I felt from my trap to my lower back, felt like someone hit me with a baseball bat. And I knew it was like a shock.
Right.
Because every human, I think, has been shocked, a little bit, but it was, I mean, it felt like a bat. And all I remember doing is I remember saying, oh, I think I just got hit or I got zapped,
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the next thing I remember is waking up in the ambulance. So I didn't know what happened, and I developed amnesia from it. So I didn't even remember that day. I didn't remember driving to work. I didn't remember anything. Okay. But I remembered I woke up in the ambulance, and sorry, it's a little difficult to talk about. I didn't I didn't know what happened. I thought maybe my sergeant and my partner maybe we were shot. Maybe
Right.
there's something happened. And usually when you're a police officer, if something like that happens to you, someone you know is in the ambulance with you.
Right.
No one was there. It was just me
Wow.
and the EMS. And I remember I couldn't talk, and they were working on me, saying his oxygen's bad, this is bad, and my clothes were ripped apart. So what's that?
You didn't even remember what happened.
I didn't even know what happened. And I'm like, I go, I'm going to die in this ambulance. I don't know why, but I'm going to die in this ambulance. I'm never going to see my wife and kids again.
Right.
I go, this is how I'm going to go out. I go, this is terrible.
Yeah.
And they brought me to the hospital, and, they checked me for everything. And the problem was no one knew what happened at the time, because I had amnesia, and my partner and my sergeant were on the ground, and they didn't see what happened.
Right.
So I was in the hospital for a few days. And after I got out of the hospital, I started getting like really, really, and I had a concussion. I was bleeding from my head and didn't know why. So I was just, it was really, started getting like depression and anxiety. And it was so weird because my emotions would just flip. I couldn't sleep. I would have nightmares and not knowing what happened and, all this stuff. And then I would just get, I would get bad anxiety, and then I would get this, and then I would get this. And I fell off again. It's just hard. It's very hot and cold with the PTSD. You know what I mean? Like you have good days, bad days. And when I was looking at the transformation challenge, I'm like, you know what? If someone gives me that diet, workout, supplementation, it's written down.
Right.
I'm very good with stuff that's structured. If you can give me a list, I'll do it. And I remember when you gave me, the diet for the training days and the diet for the days off and the workouts. And, I'd be so excited to weigh myself, send it in, get the updated stuff, and just, and I remember you sent me an email at the beginning, and you're like, I'm telling you at the last reps to do, I don't know what the email, verbatim, but you said like at the last rep, I'm telling you to do like, 6 or 8 or whatever the number was. And you're doing like 10, but the one before it, and I remember emailing you back, I'm like, no, because I have to push through it. Like if you tell me 8, I got to do 9.
Right.
I have to beat it, Right. And it was, I got to tell you, I really can't thank you enough. I mean, it was so great. I mean, it got me in. I mean, my wife said, like she goes at 37, you're in the best shape of your life. It's unbelievable. I mean, I was never in the shape that I got in with the contest. And it was so cool because even working out at home, like I love going to the gym, but my son, like he would come down and I'd say, hey, give me a spot real fast. I gotta, I gotta do it. And like, it was actually funny. One day I was doing curls and I go, just take your fingers, just like this. I go, when I get to the top, I'll say, now just push up a little bit.
Right.
When I get to the top, I'm like, now he pushes down. So I fall over and he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, I'm like, you don't know. It's fine. And it's just, it was good because it was almost, I didn't tell the kids. I know it sounds corny, but I didn't want to, I'm like, if I lose, I don't want them to know
Right.
that I lost. So my wife was the only person I told.
Really?
And if it wasn't for her, I never would have been able to do it because I mean, helping me make my food and like at the beginning, I think she thought I would was crazy, but then I think she saw that we were saving a lot of money with groceries.
Right.
So she's like, oh, really? Just, you only need oatmeal and chicken and some potatoes.
Right.
Okay, no problem. So, but it was so helpful. I mean, at the end, she literally used, she's like 130 grams of potatoes, right? I'm like, yeah. She's like 4 ounces of chicken. She's like, but I thought it's 5 ounces of ground turkey, and I would have to take your chart out. And I'm like, she got to the point where I think she knew it better than me. but it was what's it called? It was fun, but it was also like, I know when like I said, I listened to you a lot. I listened to Dave Palumbo a lot from RX Muscle. And I always remember 2 things that he would say is, he's like, well, bodybuilding, you have to suffer. And he always said, you got to suffer. He's like, that's how you know you're getting there. And then a lot of people call it, that like death face.
Right.
So my parents were over one day and I was and like I said, they didn't know. A big thing with our family, like we're an Italian family, it's eating. Everything goes around eating. So they ordered food because it's, with the kids, they order food. And I remember I'm like, no, I have my food. I'm on a little diet. Like I told them I was on a diet, but I didn't tell them what. So they're eating God knows what, fried calamari and this. And I'm sitting like this, eating my potatoes with my bland ground turkey. But the one thing is, and I wanted to give in. And I remember, I still remember where my mother was sitting. And she looks over and she goes, Nick, my mom calls me Nicholas. No one else, my mom and dad, Nicholas. No one else calls me. She goes, Nicholas, she goes, I noticed right here in your face, you're losing weight. And I'm like, I'm like, I didn't want to say it to her. She would thought I was dying, but I'm like, I'm suffering. This is great. But it was, you know, it was so like, I remember I'd wake up, I'd go in the bathroom and I'd look in the mirror. And I remember at the beginning, I'm like, wow, I'm getting like abs. I can't believe it. Like at 16, I didn't have abs. I'm 37 years old. You know, I'm like, this is insane. And I remember every day it was getting better and better to the point where I would flex my abs and I actually started seeing like the veins go down. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to email you. Cause I took a few like pictures and stuff. Then I had my son taking pictures. He's like, Dad, why am I taking pictures of you with no shirt on? I'm like, don't worry about it. I'll explain. Hopefully I'll explain. But it was, I remember I was so down on Christmas Day. Cause I was saying to my wife, I'm like, yeah, I go, I guess I didn't win. I go, it is what it is. She's like, well, she goes, even if you didn't win, she goes, you did everything you could. You got in the best shape of your life. You don't win. So what?
Right.
But I'm like, yeah, I know. I was like, no one, I mean, I don't know. I mean, and I saw the other two competitors and they did unbelievable. The second and third place, they did great.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I said to myself, I go, I know no one suffered like this. I go, I'm telling you. I mean, I got to the point where I should have probably told you, I did a little extra cardio every day at the end. I was up 4 a.m. Basement, 40 minutes, sweat. I had the waist trainer on with the sweatsuit, made my breakfast, went and worked construction all day. Then I come home, workout, 20 more minutes of cardio. And it was, I would have done 4 hours if it was worth it. But it was just, you know, I remember Christmas. I was, like I said, I was a little like, you know, I'm like, yeah, it is what it is. And I remember I was cooking, I'm making food and and all of a sudden I check and I actually saved you under like VIPs under my phone. So in case it came up, it would shoot right on my phone. And I see John Hansen Physique Transformation winners. I'm like, oh. And I clicked on it. And when I scrolled and saw my picture, I'm like, oh, nice. At least he used my picture. That's nice of him. He would have told me if I won.
Right.
And I scrolled, and when I saw first place, literally, it sounds so corny. I had to go in the other room because I almost lost it.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was like a dream. Like I'm telling you, it's like to some people, I know this might not mean anything. You know what I mean? It might be like, oh, yeah, so you worked out a little. But it's just to, you know, I'm never going to be Mr. Olympia. You know, I'm never going to win like to me, this was, you know, this was like winning the sand down to me. You know what I mean? This was like, I just, like, it meant so much. I called my wife. I'm like, come here, I got to show you. And I scrolled and it was,
wow, that's awesome.
It was a great Christmas gift. It was like,
yeah,
unbelievable. It was like a weight lifted off my jaw. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, it was all worth it. All that craziness.
Well, your story is interesting because the PTSD. So when you had that before, you know, you've been going through this for a couple of years now since you had that accident. Mm-hmm. So it was just, you weren't able to stay focused, right? You would go back and forth between, you know, going through.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely.
It kind of helped you just to stay focused on one goal,
yeah.
Right? That's
when I don't know if you've ever seen this video, and if anyone who's watching this has seen it, or if they haven't, I would say to YouTube it when at some point. I always describe it to my wife because like people don't understand. They're like, well, what does it feel like? Like, what is? And I always say it's the weirdest thing, but it describes it perfectly. There's a scene, a clip from the Michael Jackson Scream music video. He did a music video with his sister, Scream.
Yeah.
There's one part where they both grab their head and the camera and the room is shaking uncontrollably. And they're like grabbing it like there's either a loud sound or when it gets bad where I know it's going to be an eruption, that's what it is. It's just it's there's no controlling it. But with this with you know, like I said, the structure you gave was,
Hmm.
I honestly, John, I could not have asked for anything better with this contest. I really, I mean, you were so accessible. Anytime I emailed you, you got back to me. Like I said, the diet, like even the questionnaire at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, it was like tailor made, and I liked at the end you changed like the ribeye steak to the I forget what kind of steak, but it was a leaner steak.
Brown steak. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just like everything was, you know, the workouts and I just really, like I said, besides wife and kids and, you know, family, it was, I mean, I just look forward to it. It gave me a purpose. Like
Yeah.
it just gave me something where I was like, from the first week, I knew the end date. And I'm like, you know, because even now, like, I mean, it's 3 years. I mean, you know, I don't try to mention to the family as much, but there's still some days where you wake up and it's just like,
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with this. And I could see, you know, as soon as you wake up, for me, like for me, for my situation, I know some days when I wake up, I'm like, it's going to be a bad one today. It's just going to be a bad one. And and the great thing was with your workout plan and with the diet, like every few hours, I knew I had to eat.
Yeah.
I knew what my workout was. I knew my supplementation. Like I just, it was so regimented.
Yeah.
I didn't have time to focus on anything outside. Like my uncle, actually, it's funny when he told me about working out, and it reminded me of this. Your how regimented. He would always tell me, he goes, when I go to the gym, I wear a hat, I pull it down low. I don't want to see anything else. It's like blinders. I want to see the weights. I don't care who's working out. I don't care who's doing this. I'm so focused. And it reminded me of that, because it was just, it gave me like a blueprint. It's like I watched actually a YouTube video with Arnold Schwarzenegger where he said that he had read Park's blueprint.
Yeah.
And that's what he had. And to me, it was like, I'm like, this is the natural Mr. Olympia. I mean, your photos and videos speak for themselves. They're unbelievable. Anyone would be debating or, you know, on doing this transformation, I'm telling you, you just have to follow the blueprint.
Yeah.
Just give 100%. That's all you got to do, is like literally listen to what the food you say to do. And you, like I said, I mean, maybe it's from being a police officer, maybe from being from New Jersey. I don't know. You always think there's a catch. And she's like, well, all right, so you're going to sign up for this contest, but he's with that, you know, like I was showing him the old school labs. Like, how much of the supplements do you have to buy? And I'm like, you don't have to buy anything. Actually, if I'm one of the first, if I sign up today, I think I get a free bottle of something. So it was like, that's what I loved about it. It was no pressure to like buy my product and do this. It was like, listen, what foods do you like? We're going to make a diet to your foods. How do you like to work out? You know, we'll make a diet. And I remember I gave you my workout and you just tweaked it.
Yeah.
You threw things in and I'm like, wow, I like the way he did this. Or and I remember I even wrote to you with curls. For some reason, there's certain exercises that I feel a lot. And there's some that are like the go-to for most people. And I just don't feel them. And I remember emailing you, I'm like, hey, can I incorporate this? And the next day my workout came in and it was in there. It was in the workout. And I'm like the guy, you know, and it was just good to see that you cared about it as much as I did.
Yeah.
Like I know, like I was listening to an interview once with Chris Aceto, and he said that, you know, with his clients, he goes, I tell my clients, if you give me 100%, I give you 150%. And that's what I felt like it was with you, where it was never a chore to get in touch with you, or you to get in touch. Like you never were bothered by my questions, and which as you could see, I could go on and on, but like it was never a bother. You know, it always seemed like you were more than happy to help, and it was just so it was life changing. It really was. I mean, I just love the challenge. Like, I mean, every Friday morning I would wake up and weigh myself. And I remember I emailed you once and I was like, hey, John, you know, should we lower the calories? Should we increase the cardio? And you're like, no, you're still losing. Your waist is going down and your weight's going down. You're fine.
Right.
And I was getting paranoid. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe we should lower calories. Maybe we should do it. And I'm like, the guy knows what he's doing. The guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah, speaking of that, Nick, I wanted to mention your progress. So we started on September 28th. We finished on December 21st. So your weight went from 189 to 168.
Yep.
and your waist went from 36 3/4 to 31 1/4.
That was the lowest my waist was. In high school, I was a 32.
Wow.
And I mean, yeah, I mean, the weight was just dropped. Like it was just, you know, such a combo with the cardio, the weight training, the dieting, and you know, everything you did. It was that's what did it. It was, you know.
I'm sure some people who see those before and after pictures, they probably think, oh, that's fake. You know, it's
No.
bigger than that. But I've got your, you know, I recorded every week.
Yeah.
Went down, and I think like you lost like an inch in the first week off your weight.
Yeah, I got yeah, I got it. I got it right here. I can tell you literally, I have it in my notepad. I have every single transformation right here. It went from 36 3/4 to 35 1/4. So it was an inch and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just cutting out the food,
right.
Cutting out the crappy food. And you know what it was too? I noticed I was within the first week just urinating so much.
All that water. Right.
And it was like, I felt so much like less inflamed from just swapping out the dot. You know what I mean? Just none of the process, you know what I mean? Like, none of that stuff. And I mean, it went, you know, 35 1/4. Then the second week I went from 35 1/4 to 35. And I'm like, oh, I only lost a quarter. That's it. I go, see, it's, I plateaued and I this. But then the next week I lost 3/4 of an inch again.
Yeah.
And it was such like a journey that at the end it was, I can't describe how rewarding it was. Like it's literally, it was like hitting the lottery. I mean, I'm telling you, when it was like Christmas Day, it was like something that I couldn't have even dreamt up. Because I remember I even emailed you at one point, and I'm like, hey John, when are you
when are you gonna announce it?
When are you announcing the winners? And I remember you said, oh, I'll be back from the Olympia this weekend, and I think I'll announce them tomorrow. And I said to my wife, and I go, because the next day came, and I go, I didn't even make the top 3. I can't believe it. I go, don't you think? She goes, you're going to see the top 3, and it's probably going to be some guy that lost 400 pounds. And you're going to say, well, of course he won. I mean, lost 400 pounds. And I remember, I'm telling you, when it came out, I was looking at me, and then I'm looking at the other 2 guys, and I'm like proud of them. And I'm like, wow, I'm like, they did such an unbelievable job. And I read the one thing about the guy who came in 3rd place, trained with you at one point.
Yeah, like 20 years ago.
Yeah, and my wife said to me, she goes, if he gave you 1st place over a guy that
my old
training partner, you did a good job. But no, I mean, it worked. It, you know, just follow the plan. Like I said, it worked great.
What's cool too, looking at your measurements, Nick, was I saw you increased muscle size on some of your, you know, from before to after. Like your chest went up, your thighs went up, your calves went up. That's amazing. You know how hard it is to gain muscle while you're losing fat? That was really awesome.
But up until that last week, I mean, my squats were going through the roof. My stiff leg deadlifts were the poundages and the reps were increasing. My chest was, you know, like with the decline bench was just going through the roof. And I was working at home, and I only had dumbbells up to 95 pounds.
Right.
Because I wasn't going to the gym, and I was just repping them out. And I'm like, you know, it's, and I guess it goes back to certain body parts. People are strong. You know, but it was, it was crazy because I'm like, I'm going to lose. I'm not a big guy. And I'm like, you know, I don't want to look anorexic.
Yeah. Well, I think that happens a lot with these when people try to lose weight is they'll start a diet and then maybe they'll start training lighter. Or, you know, they feel like if I do more reps, that'll burn the cuts in and stuff. But what I always try to do with these programs, every time I give somebody these programs, and I follow you guys every week. Yeah. You know, if you send, like you were sending me your workouts and then I was writing you new workouts for the next week.
Yeah.
So what I tried to do was make it harder. So if you did 195 one week, you go up to 200 or 205 the next week, you know, even though you're dieting and your calories were less. And I think that's what helped to maintain or grow, in your case, grow more muscle as you're losing the fat. So that's what really helps the transformation is when you're maintaining or putting on muscle as you're losing all that fat. That's what really makes a major progress.
It was a nice family thing, you know, and, you know, I remember, you know, I was so like, I text my brother, my cousin, you know, my cousin was the one who showed me how to work out. He was the one I saw.
Right.
And I text my brother and I text my cousin and the text they sent me back were, it was so nice. It was just so like they were so proud, and you know, like I said, my son's friend and my neighbor, we went for coffee after Christmas, and I'm like, oh, I want to show you guys something. So I showed them the email you sent, and they like couldn't believe it. And you know, my son like, you know, was like all like proud, and it was just so special, and you know, it was yeah, we're just really great. I couldn't put a price tag on it. They actually sound like, for some people they might think, you know, oh, this is so, you know, whatever. But to me, it's like almost like I pinch myself because I'm like, this is, you know, I'm talking to John Hansen. Like, I mean, this is crazy, you know, like this is so cool.
Well, congratulations, Nick. I'm glad you were the winner, and I know you put 100% into it, and you deserved it because you really made unbelievable progress, and I know how much you put into it. So that was great hearing your story. So your books and your DVDs are on the way. I just sent them out today.
Oh, you're the man.
Old School Labs will be sending you, I think, $200 in free supplements, so you'll be getting those too.
Cool. Thanks. I can't wait to the what's it called, the Bodybuilding Legends book. What's it called? I'm like, oh man, if I win or lose, I'm buying that book. I don't care. I didn't want to tell you that because I didn't want it's another Amazon purchase. I don't want to, you know. But I'm like, oh God, I can't wait. But I really, in all seriousness, I really can't thank you enough. Like I could kind of express some words, but I really can't of how much this helped me and what it meant to me to do this and you know, just it was a godsend, and you know, God bless you for doing it. I really can't thank you enough. If it sounds stupid, but if you ever need anything, you ever come to New Jersey, you know, not that you would from Florida, but if you know, just anything I can ever do for you to help you or you know, anything, I'd be more than happy to. So.
All right. Well, thank you, Nick. And I'm again, congratulations. I couldn't have happened to a better guy. So I know you put 100% into it, and great. Keep going with the progress, and we'll stay in touch, and we'll put this up there so everybody can see your message. I think it was great.
Great. Thank you so much, John. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Take care.
I'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hey, this is John Hansen. I want to invite you personally to enter the second annual John Hansen Fitness Challenge, which is going to start on January 11th, 2021 and go all the way up until April 5th. This is a 12-week transformation program in which you will lose fat and gain muscle over this 12-week period. When you sign up for the John Hansen Fitness Challenge, I will write up a personalized workout and diet program specifically for you. In addition to that, I'm going to be your fitness coach for all 12 weeks. I will check in with you each week to make sure that you're accountable and you make progress every week during this fitness challenge. I'll also write up all new workouts for you every week. As an additional bonus, the top 3 people who make the most amount of progress are going to win prizes at the end of the fitness challenge. This includes free supplements from Old School Labs, as well as copies of my books and DVDs. As a 3-time Natural Mr. Universe and the first Natural Mr. Olympia winner, I have been training my whole life. I am an expert on how to change the body naturally without using any drugs. By following the workout and diet programs that I designed specifically for you, I guarantee you're going to make incredible progress in this 12 weeks. Check out some of these winners from last year's John Hansen Fitness Challenge. These guys completely changed their bodies by losing fat, gaining muscle, and building strength in only 3 months. If they can do it, I guarantee you can do it too. So go to johnhansenfitness.com and register for the second annual John Hansen Fitness Challenge today. Start off your new year right by changing your body and changing your life.